friends. Hope you're doing well. So, figured it was time for a check-in video, just about stuff, about things, about what's been happening. I got a new shelf for my Warhammer stuff. It has one more level, one more shelf in the bookcase. I guess I got a new bookcase, not a new shelf. But the bookcase has one additional shelf. For my little Warhammy guys. If you see over block, will it focus? There it goes. Yeah, a little space marine. Let's see. Okay, so that happened. New shelf. We did some cleaning. We moved some stuff around. I played two of the weirdest Warhammer games I've played so far. And I had a really disappointing hockey game tonight. Also, I met with my accountant, and I owe less than I thought I did, which is good. I think I need to get the final number still. And people need to pay me so I can pay my taxes. And my accountant, because I'm going to owe my accountant like $700 or something like that. Anyway, yeah, let's just get right off. I got a new poker case, which is great. I love it. This is an extra shelf. I still have too many Warhammer guys. You'd be like, they're so small. How do you have so many? I just do. I got really into it. Which also presents a problem in that I have overspent on my hobby budget on Warhammer guys. I've been into the hobby for about 7 months now, and I have probably spent somewhere in the neighborhood of like $3,000 or $4,000, which is like, hey, that's about what you owe for your taxes, and it's like, hey, I know, shut up. Like, I didn't buy it all at once. I thought I did buy all my little Space Marines. I got all at once, but I got an insane deal on them. They were really well painted by a guy who's been playing for like years and years and years. I see people do this, and it kind of works. And they look great. But I got a lot of them for very cheap, for $1,000 for a big shelf's worth, plus a bunch of paint, plus some carrying cases. Like, I made out like a bandit on that deal, because I think the guy saw that I was like new, and I was like, really excited to play with Space Marines, and so cut me a deal. Good, thank you. Oh boy, John. It's a J name. Justin, Josh. Thank you, Josh. But he played with his kids, and they had, I think, gone to college or something. And he's just, moving on to other hobbies. Anyway, where was I going there? So the problem is I spent too much money, and I told my girlfriend, I was like, okay, hey, I need you to help me pump the brakes, because I will continue to overspend on this hobby. And so we developed a system where once I get to certain milestones with my stupid arbitrary goals, I can buy more Warhammers. That's what we call them, more Warhammies. Just more units and stuff. So every time I get one of my goals to the 50% completion mark before the 50% point, which is July 2nd, I can buy one more box of little guys. Or big guys. Some of my guys are really big. They're big robots. Anyway. And they just announced some new boxes, and I'm like, don't really want those. So they released some new orcs, which have a really big, stupid thing called a Stompa, which is just like a big mech, and it just like is awesome and fun and cool. And what was the other box? Oh, there's gonna be a new orc combat patrol. I want that. But then there's also gonna be a new custody combat patrol, and I kind of want to start a custodes army. So, but that would also bring me up to 5 armies, which is probably too many. Most people just play 1 or 2. I already have 4, because I've got the Ultramarines, I've got the Orcs, I've got Tau, and I've got Imperial Knights, which Imperial Knights and can kind of be Ultramarines. It's kind of weird how it's weird. But they can also be like their own thing. And they're fun, because the Imperial Knights are just like really big robots. And you're like, yeah. Like, did you watch Gundam Wing growing up? Like, I did. Like, here's your army. You're like, sweet. Whereas this one is like, did you play StarCraft as a kid? And you're like, yeah. Did you like Terran? Yeah. Like, crazy around me. They look very similar because Starcraft actually was originally going to be a Warhammer game, and then for some reason, Games Workshop, who creates Warhammer, and Blizzard Entertainment decided to split ways. But Games Workshop was like, like you've made, so keep going on with what you're doing. And they made some tweaks and stuff with the lore. And there you have StarCraft, one of the most popular games, and Warhammer, one of the most popular tabletop games. They kind of just coexisted on their own separate paths. But, yeah, where was I going with that? I keep losing my train of thought. But I want those, so I need to accomplish some goals. So that's my current problem, and I need to work up. But I already have completed. I am at 50% of the way through my Warhammer goal, which was spend 200 hours doing Warhammer stuff already, 3 months in. So crushing that one. I could ostensibly get that goal to 100% before the midway point. And the midway point of the year is when I adjust goals if I need to. So that's kind of the exciting thing there. I'm going to be working on this month, but I have some big jobs this month. So that's good because I'll be able to make some real progress on my goals through these big jobs because I'll be getting paid a good amount of money so I can pay off my debt, which is good. Can't get it all the way off, but like I can make a meaningful dent in my debt owed, which would make me feel a lot better. And I'm at this point where like I have so much debt that I'm not drowning in it, but like it is impacting my lifestyle on a very large degree. It's like I could probably be spending a lot more money on Warhammer if I wasn't on this debt treadmill. And it's so weird because it's like I have not used some of these cards, and just because of the interest rates and the fees, and the you get like, it's just so dumb because you like every you get all these dumb fees for like stupid stuff, like it's $75 a year, and you're like, why am I paying this? Like, what the hell? I'm giving you so much money in interest. And then when you have ADHD tax and you forget to pay your bill, and it's like, oh, you didn't pay your bill, but it's like, what's the due date? It's like on the 6th, and it's like, okay, it's 10 o'clock on the 6th, I should go pay that bill. And it's like, we're scheduling it for tomorrow, and we're charging you $40. Go fuck yourself. And you're like, the hell, it's bullshit. It's before midnight my time. It should still count. It's kind of how I feel. Like, I should put it on auto pay, but I don't because I'm frequently concerned that I'm gonna overdraft because I forgot that the money was coming out. So that's why I don't have them on auto pay. I should probably have them on auto pay, and I should just be better about managing my money. But here we are. I'm working on it. But still, it's like, just because the interest is so high, it's like you make a payment and it's like this number should go down, but it's just not really going down by any measurable, like any meaningful amount. It's like, okay, if I chip in the balance, it's $300, every month, and like $300, and you're like, okay, this should go down, but it's gone down in the last 4 or 5 months, which I again have not spent $1 on that card. It's down like $200, and you're like, what the fuck? And so it's like, I get student loans. Like, once your balance gets so high, the interest rate just clobbers you, and you just can't get off this dead treadmill. And then, like, now you get into these places where, like, oh, my car broke down, so I had to put the car repair on a credit card. And it's like, fuck, okay. And, it's downward spiral, and it's like, this is like the second best, decade of my life for compounding interest. I'm on the back half of it. Like, I need to get this debt figured out, squared away, and it's something I've been struggling with for, the last decade or so at least, because I bought all the camera stuff on deck because I was like, I'm gonna make money with it, and I did. But then I just kept doing that. I would free up card space, buy new stuff, free up card space, buy new stuff, and I've reached a point in my career where, like, the gear is really not getting me any more jobs. Should stop spending on it. So, I kind of have been. But it's just been getting these, you get these, you get a card paid off, you get a second card paid off, and then it's like, oh, here's your this bill, and you're like, here's your tax bill that you didn't save money for. You're like, and you're just like, man. And so it really needs to buckle down and be better with money. So there's that. But then back to Warhammer. I guess we'll talk about that now. This is a very scatterbrained one, so sorry about it. So I played two of the weirdest Warhammer games. It was with the same guy. We played Combat Patrol. Combat Patrol, if you're not familiar, Combat Patrol is like a variation. It's like a simplified version of Warhammer, where it's like, I have this box, you have that box, and our boxes will fight. It's like the miniatures inside of the box. That's the army you take, and you go fight. But the guy seemed to be new at the game, and like, that's fine. I play with new people. I was a new person, and it's like, if you're new, like, you need help. But like, he kind of knew the rules, but then also kind of just made up a lot of his own rules. So it was very much just like, and at a certain point, you just kind of stop correcting. I mean, you just kind of watch a person like push models around the board, and it was weird. But the guy won because, and it wasn't like he was, I don't know if he was cheating or if he just didn't know the rules, and I don't know, but apparently they were the first two games he had ever won, which was interesting and sad, because apparently he'd been playing since at least Christmas. This was like this week, so he's been playing for at least 5 months or whatever. And the guy that runs the Warhammer store, that's a whole other set of stories. The guy that runs the Warhammer store here in town is very much like the comic book store owner from The Simpsons. Like, he's a good guy and he means well. Like, he's not a jerk like the comic book store guy, but like the parallels is very and he's a nice guy, and he's really good. What he's really good at is he's really good at building community and getting people together. But apparently he issued this guy a challenge, and the guy was like, it was to win 4 games, and he was like, Dave's gonna be so excited when I tell him I'm halfway there. And you're like, oh boy, like, what? When did this happen? And he was like, oh, at the Christmas party. And I was like, buddy, it's April. Like, you haven't won. How often do you play? Like, you haven't won a single game. Okay, well, glad I could be your first 2 victories, even though you played the game super wrong. Like, it was just weird what he was. Because, so if you're not familiar with Warhammer, basically you're just like, my guy is shooting your guys, and you're like, okay, so you will roll a number of dice according to the character's data sheet, the number of attacks he has. So you roll that, and your dice need to be better than his ballistic skill or weapon skill. So you say, like, this is an assault intercessor sergeant. He is going to be shooting with his pistol, right? So he's got 1 attack, and it needs to hit on a 3. So you roll dice, you're trying to get a 3, 4, 5, or 6. If you get a 3, 4, 5, or 6, then you roll for the wound roll, and that determines. So like, the first roll is, does my guy hit your guy? Then you say, does my guy's weapon penetrate your armor? So you will roll again, and on this roll, you will take the strength of your weapon versus the toughness of their model's armor. And then there's a calculation to do. So if they're the same, I need to roll a 4, 5, or 6. If my weapon is better, I need to roll a 3, 4, 5, or 6. If my weapon is twice as good as the strength, then I need to roll a 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. And that wounds. So you have that, and then obviously it works the other way. If the armor's twice as strong, then I need to roll a 6. Yeah, so there's that. So he would roll for the hit roll, and then he would roll for the wound roll, and then he would roll a 3rd time. And now there is a 3rd roll. The 3rd roll is the armor save roll. So after you roll the hit roll, you roll the wound roll, you would say, like 10 shots go into through your armor. So then I will roll my dice to get my armor save, and that's usually like a 3 or 4 or 5. And so I roll, 10 dice, trying to get 10 threes. We'll say, on the intercessor here, trying to get 10 threes. And if I get a 3, then my armor saves me, and I don't take the damage. But if I don't get the 3, then I take the damage. But so he would roll the hit roll, which is the first roll to see do you hit, and then he'd roll a second roll to see like do you wound, and then he would just roll a third roll on his own, like, but I'm supposed to be the one rolling the dice on that roll, and then he would just tell me a number, but like the number didn't, like he was just adding dice up, and he's like 12, and I'm like, what are you doing? And you just like you just like wasn't all there, and so at a certain point you're just like, okay, well, I guess this is what we're doing. I'm playing this game, and it was just awkward and amusing, and it's like the guy seemed, it just was, I don't know, just off. A lot of stuff was off, but I don't know. It was just a weird game, and he kept talking about how cool the games workshop, the Warhammer store guy was, and I was just like, okay. And like, how if Dave was there, Dave would, I forgot my measuring tape. Dave would never let me live this down. And it's just like, okay, well, you could borrow mine when you need it. It'll be okay. We'll figure this out, bud. So yeah, it was just very weird. And going into that game, I was like, I really like Combat Patrol because it's like super simple. It's simplified. It's great. And now after that, I realized that half of the Combat Patrol games I've played, I haven't played that many. I've only played like 6 or 7 out of the 68 Warhammer games I've played since I started. 6 or 7 of them have been Combat Patrol. 3 of them have been delightful, and my opponents were great, and we had a good time. I think I might have won 1 of the 7 games, which is fine. My win rate in Warhammer is abysmal. But I'm realizing 3 of the like least fun games, aside from the fact that I got stories out of them, were Combat Patrol games. So I don't know if I'm gonna play Combat Patrol anymore, just because it's playing with like people that don't. It's not that people like don't know the rules, because like the one person I played with where it was like really not fun was that she was like super specific about all the rules and was like everything had to be done by the book in just like a casual game, and you're just like whatever. As far as like where the placement of the objective markers like had to be exact, and like she pushed it, it was less than an eighth of an inch like to get it exactly right, and you're like, okay, cool. But then she went and played with like just kind of made up rules for her army, and it was awkward because I was playing the same army, so it was kind of just like, these guys have this, and I was like, they don't, and I know that because I have the same army, and you forgot your rules, and you're literally looking at my iPad that has the rules. We're both looking at the same screen, which says they don't have that, and you're just like, whatever, just like, okay, cool, do whatever you want, and then it ends up affecting the outcome of the game, and you're just like, okay, cool, whatever, like, I just won't play you again, like, this is fine. And so yeah, this Combat Patrol, it's a good idea, and I still want to play it, but I think I'm going to be a lot more choosy about who my opponents will be going into the future. Anyway, moving on from that, I had a disappointing hockey game tonight. We're in the playoffs, but it's like a round robin thing, and we lost to a team full of douchebags, which, I mean, all the other teams are douchebags, of course. It's beer league hockey. Everyone else but your team sucks, right? But there's actual douchebags on this team. The one thing that sticks in my head, is we lost 2-0, but one of them was an empty net goal, so I'm not counting that. So it's like 1-0. There's like 2 minutes left in the game. We pull our goalie. I'm out there on the ice, and you take a shot. Someone takes a shot. No, I don't think it was me. But the goalie gets it, but the goalie doesn't cover it. And if the goalie covers it, then whistle, play stops, clock stops. But he doesn't cover it, and he's got his hand there, like, very, like, toying, like, I'm not gonna go, I'm gonna burn the clock down. So I go, skate in to, like, go, okay, if you're gonna play this game, then I will force you to cover the puck. And he got so huffy, and it was just like, what the fuck, man? And I was like, cover the puck. Like, if you want to play circus games, you're gonna win a circus prize. Like, you play the games. You gotta get a big gorilla coming your way. Like, that's what did you expect was gonna happen? That we were just gonna let you not cover the puck and just grief us for 10 or 15 or 20 seconds off the clock? Like, no. Like, I didn't hit you. I didn't slash your hand. Like, I came towards you. I came near you, and you covered the puck and then turtled up. And then got mad at me because you were fucking around and then you found out. And so, I don't know, it's just very, like, douchebaggy. So, bothered me. You don't want to lose to a team full of douchebags, but sometimes it happens. And then next week, we are playing the biggest douchebag team because for whatever reason, they bring somebody on their team that knows somebody that just, like, comes and plays music when the puck, when they score a goal, they have a theme song, and, like, during warm-ups, and you're like, I don't want this. Like, stop that. That is so annoying and so douchey, and I will probably get kicked out just getting penalties because the whole team is douchebags. And the music doesn't help, so maybe that makes me a douchebag a little bit. I get a good amount of penalties, and I think it's because I grew up. There's two reasons I think I get a lot of penalties. One, because I absolutely deserve to get goals for them, because I do play a little aggressively. But I think it has more to do with I am very large. But back to point one, it has a lot to do with the fact that I grew up playing hockey, and when you play youth hockey that has, like, actual contact, like, you see the refs let you get away with more stuff. Whereas when you play beer league, you have all these guys that didn't play hockey growing up. Now, some of them did, but most of them didn't play hockey growing up. And so it's just like every small, like, somebody touched me, that should be a penalty. And they just bitch nonstop. And you're like, do you watch NHL games? Do you watch the local hockey teams? Like it's a no check league. It's not a no contact league. Like, if somebody bumping you is kind of part of the problem is that, like, a lot of these guys can't skate very well, and they sign up for a league too high for their skill level, and maybe I'm too low for my skill level, but I don't score that many goals. So that's a whole other thing. Is like, when do you know when it's time to move up? I think I made a video about that. But it's like, I feel like I can skate above most of the people at my level, but I'm not scoring goals, I'm not getting a lot of assists, so there's some piece I'm missing. And sometimes I think if I stepped up to the next level, I would have better teammates, and that would maybe have something to do, like, I would receive better passes, because most of the passes that come to me are into my skates, or just not, they miss, I have to really stretch for them to catch them. And so you get like 2 or 3 good passes per game, and that's obviously going to impact your ability to perform if you're not just going to get the puck yourself and then skating it. So yeah, it just, I don't know what to do with that. I feel like I might need to move up, but I really wanted to have a year where I just, like, dominated and got, like, 15 goals or something like that, or more than that maybe. I think I have like 5 goals this year, which is admittedly more than last year, so progress is being made. It's just not as fast as I want it to be. But also it's like, well, what did you do to get there? Did you go shoot pucks in your garage? You're like, well, I meant to. And you're like, but how many times did you do it? And you're like, I don't know, like 2 or 3 times a month leading up to the season. And you're like, fuckface. Maybe don't be sad with the result you didn't get because you didn't do the work that you should have done. Alright, fine. Fair. Okay, but then why do we suck at Warhammer? It's like, because you don't study your armies and you forget half the rules. You're like, yeah, that's fair too. Because, yeah, there's just so many rules in Warhammer. It's just like, and what's weird is, it's not weird. It's just like, everything, it just adds up. It's a game of Warhammer more than anything I've ever done. And, I take that back. I think everything is a game of inches when you really boil it down. And the fact that, like, I'm sitting here making ASMR videos, and I'm like, why don't they do better? And it's like, well, do you make thumbnails? And you're like, no. It's like, do you A/B test titles? No. Do you put chapters in there? And you're like, well, I did it for like a week. And you're just like, okay, well, maybe that's why it's not doing better. Like, there's you're leaving a lot of inches on the ground. And Warhammer is kind of making me see that, where it's like, you have your army-wide rules where you can get re-rolls on some of your hit rolls, some of your wound rolls. You can get buffs to a hit roll or a wound roll. And, like, certain units have special abilities. And so it's like, when you start to put all that together, you gain these small inches, and then that drives the wedge into your opponent, and then you exploit that, and kaboom. And I think that more than anything, if we could sum up my life in as far as, I would say this, is like, I feel like for the most part my life has been moderately successful, but the potential, and I feel like because a lot of things came easy to me, I just felt like with my skill set and things kind of coming easy, I should be doing better than I am. And the reason I'm not is because I forget to do my rerolls. I forget that this guy's like friends do X thing, and when you don't use that once, you could have killed 2 extra guys, and then when it's their turn, they have 2 less guys to shoot at you, so now your tank survives. Your tank, you swing at him again, you kill him that turn, and your tank survives and blows something important up off the map. And it's just like those little things. And so you think about getting into credit card debt, like, that's one. Like, having a shitty diet, like, that's another one. Like, I used to weigh 360 pounds, like, that's one. Not working out. I mean, I was working out, but I wasn't consistent with it. And so it's a collection of all these things that I don't do or didn't do, and now I'm here. And it's a matter of, it's not a matter of like figuring out what's the important thing. It's a matter of like, it's all important. So, you need to at least half-ass it, if not give some of this way more attention than you do. So, yeah, that's a little epiphany there. It's a good ASMR video. I'm learning a lot about myself. And I say this often, it's just like, if you can't afford a therapist, start an ASMR channel, and you will talk your way into some insights about yourself if you just sit down and you're honest with the camera. Damn, that's gonna weigh on me for a little bit. But it's also like, okay, there's your problem. There's your hair in the drain. Let's yank that shit out, buddy. Just figure it out. Look at this tub draining again. So, anyway, I hope that was something. There's probably just a lot of really boring fucking stories, but maybe you fell asleep, and if you fell asleep, then mission accomplished. And if you didn't fall asleep and you're just like, I don't want to listen to this dumb asshole rant about bullshit, then mission accomplished. The dumb asshole ranted. And maybe people on the other team that are douchebags will see this and realize they're a bunch of fuckfaces. And then I hate them. Or the people that we're playing next week will see this and they'll realize that they're fuckfaces and I hate them. And they should turn their shitty music off because no one wants to hear that shit. Anyway, that's all I got today. So, as always, thank you so much for watching. And watching me try to develop insight about myself and hopefully you glean something from this, whether it's just something that helps you fall asleep, or maybe you have developed some insight about yourself and you're thinking now about your game of inches, and now you could be clawing back out some of those things so that your little guys will survive. They'll kill a couple more guys and your tank will live and shoot some shit off the board. Let's shoot some shit off the board this year. That's what we're here for. So, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.